Wake up! Wake up!
Get up
You get out of bed this instant.
and turn it on. Glenn, Angel, and the Flying Dutchman. The Big Show on Kiss 92.
The color of my hair is getting a bit light. What do you think?
You're supposed to say good morning.
Good
welcome
morning.
to the Big Show.
Good morning and welcome to Happy at Work Thursday. Our guest for this morning is the one and only Adrian Choo from Career Agility International, and congratulations on the whole event on Saturday.
It was amazing.
It was called
The Career Success Workshop.
the Career Success.
Tell us a little bit more
very
about
first.
how it happened.
The very first Career Success
how it happened.
workshop.
Actually,
the very
it was,
first
yeah.
of many.
It was the very first of many. It was an amazing session. We had a full house. In fact, it was packed and lots of learning. The participants, we want to thank all the participants who came. I think they learned a lot and they enjoyed themselves. There was a nice lunch and lots of freebies. But the thing
What
came
was
about,
for lunch, by the way? Was it biryani? Or?
Well, it was a nice. There was a chicken rendang actually.
Ooh.
It
Okay.
was pretty good. It was pretty good.
All right.
I should
Okay.
have come, eaten, and
Just for the
lunch.
food, right?
Just for the
See?
food.
No,
Just for the food.
kidding.
But we also want to thank the whole Kiss 92 team as well. They were very supportive throughout the whole process. And also I want to thank FD and Daniel Boy himself and
we
FD
had-
Text. Your session was wonderful.
Now we had a lot. I had a lot of fun. What surprised me in that?
Oh, we've got some pictures.
These are pictures of me sitting there with my belly. I didn't want to come alone, so I thought I'd bring belly along. But what surprised me, and it was nice to see, was how interactive that crowd was.
Yeah.
They had questions all the time.
Because FD is so used to crowds that just don't respond.
Yes.
Yeah.
You go up there, you host a show, and you're like, "Hello, everybody," and they're just looking at you.
And then
Yeah.
you're like, any questions? And then you hear crickets.
yeah. But this was really good. This was really good.
Did you get any tough questions?
More from him and Yen than anyone.
Okay, they put you in the hot seat.
No,
then.
but necessary questions, I think. That's what we
Yeah,
dealt
no,
with.
the biggest question we asked him was, when's your autobiography coming out?
Right? You should start working on that.
And okay, let's give you an idea. This was discussed and later discussed even further with Adrian and Daniel. Why write a book
Okay.
when I can put out an autobiography in a series of broadcasts,
Like,
podcasts,
Oh, right. Okay.
as opposed to writing a book?
But you can also put that down in words.
And the idea behind the podcast is not me talking about myself, but my friends interviewing me about my life.
So, right. Okay.
that's
because
not really.
it
I
is.
mean, an
It is.
autobiography is something that will withstand the test of time.
Yes, this is true.
It'll
Yeah.
be somewhere, like in the SPH library,
And
for
it's
example.
tangible.
But-
No,
Yeah.
it's
I don't know.
tangible. You know what I mean?
I-
With
But it's okay, like, I don't think
photographs,
anybody will
with
buy it, so
photos-
anyway.
no, okay.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
why we donate it to the library, right? We
Yeah.
donate it.
Thanks, like, you are
You're not looking to
really-
make money anyway. You're looking to share your story. It's not
And
about
then
money making.
he'll have to highlight like controversial events in order
That's
for his
true.
autobiography
To
to
sell.
sell. You know how people do that, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
And
autobiography, you
this-
got to have something really
gotta have dirt.
controversial.
This is,
You could have
this
that.
is why I have always stayed away from wanting to do autobiography.
Because you don't want your skeletons in the closet to come out?
Why do I have to put people through the ringer in order to sell a book?
It's putting you through the ringer.
Only if the controversy affects me. But how many of these autobiographies involve
other people, right.
people
Yeah,
are
yeah.
named? Why do I have to name other people to sell my
Don't
book?
then. Name one just
Yeah.
yourself. Just tell us your story.
No, like, he doesn't care. Like, anyway, he has
Yeah.
enough money. What is he doing it for?
See la, see
His
la,
legacy?
see la, see la.
Yeah.
Nonsense. All of you.
Okay, anyway, Adrian is here, lest we forget.
Yes.
Adrian, what are we talking about today?
So we're going to talk about something a bit more serious. Because there's been a spate of retrenchments in the past couple of months, and the latest high-profile one was Lazada, which wasn't
Yeah.
quite executed very, very well from what we hear in the reports. But more importantly, today we wanted to talk about for our listeners now. If what do you do if you are being retrenched? So this is something we have 5 things we want to talk about that you should do the moment or even in preparation of getting a pink slip.
Okay, all right, that's good.
We'll talk to Adrian on the Big Show TV. Jamie Miller is next. This is Only Place on Kiss 92.
So I have a question, because we were talking about this earlier. FD was like, oh, it's too early in the year to retrench. And I'm like, maybe this is from last year, or maybe this is for people that are expecting to get retrenched, right? But is there a time period in a fiscal year that companies retrench? Or
Well,
can it happen anytime?
It could happen anytime, but very cruelly, a lot of companies retrench their staff before the year is out.
Before bonuses.
Before bonuses. End of the year, before the financial year closes. Some companies, they do retrench people, unfortunately, before Chinese New Year.
Oh,
Before the
no.
first year, before the
Oh,
bonuses
yeah,
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's painful. That's
So
awful.
It's
Yeah, that's
awful. It's
horrible.
poor planning.
And Lazada was just like last month or something, or even early this month, was it?
Yeah.
They were under fire.
They
a lot
were.
of fire because the unions didn't know about it.
No, but why do the union? Okay, I just want to understand, and I think a lot of people as well, because we heard like news bulletins and all that about how which body here in Singapore took issue with Ladada.
Lazada, correct. We'll call them Lazada now.
What organization is it? Is it Case or is it?
No, they basically. So from what we understand, before a company retrenches more than 5 people, they have to notify the WSG, MOM, the authorities and unions
MOM,
as
that's
well.
right.
It seems that they didn't. And
Yeah,
that,
they
that
didn't.
contravenes the guidelines.
I see.
And the reason why company, if you're retrenching more than 5 people, you need to get this because the unions, the WSG, they need to know whether or not they are needed to provide support for the staff who are exiting.
So it's the NTUC that wasn't informed, as well as the Food, Drinks and Allied Workers
the one.
Union, which is FDAWU,
Yeah.
which is the first time I've heard of this when I read the article. They had disappointed that Lazada had initiated the retrenchment exercise without notifying and consulting FDAWU, given that Lazada is unionized under them.
Under them, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
so Lazada had to get approval before.
Or announce it at
Just
least.
announce,
I think
or
announce it.
inform them
Yeah.
a certain
Prior
period of time
to.
before, but they didn't. So I don't have the full facts, so I can't really comment on it. But if the whole idea is you're supposed to inform the authorities and the governing bodies, they didn't, and as a result, they can take action. These authorities can take action. So, and they are taking action. So,
But
we
what
don't know
about the
what's
people who
happening
got retrenched? Can they sue, for example?
yet. You can't.
The company.
No.
You can't, right?
You can't.
Okay.
That's why a lot of things, a lot of people, when they get retrenched, sometimes they feel very disgruntled. If you feel you've been unfairly dismissed, there's always MOM that you can go to. But however, I must say that the Singapore system is such where it's pro business. Okay. And that's why retrenchments happen quite a lot.
So it's not pro employees.
It's not always pro
Not
employees. I mean, it's fair. I mean, if you bully the employee, done it, the government's going to come in and say no. But if a company retrenches the staff, and they don't really have to give a reason apart from times are tough.
Right.
So you said any size company that is retrenching or getting rid of more than 5
Yeah.
needs to inform.
Yeah, there
A
are guidelines.
union.
Yeah, there are
Right.
on the MOM guidelines website itself. There are guidelines.
Okay.
So I think that's fantastic practice because
Yeah.
you need to rally support for those who are impacted, especially those who are being
course.
retrenched for the first time. And interestingly, we are seeing younger people being retrenched.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. On our Facebook page, interesting, Molla's come across, and Molla said, as she says, "Hi Adrian, my understanding is that retrenchment is different from layoff, but most medias use both terms interchangeably."
What's the difference?
That she's asking.
It's the same.
It's the same thing, right? In
It's the
today's context, it is
yeah.
the same thing.
Layoffs are normally it's an American word, more
okay.
like
Right.
retrenchments are over here.
Okay.
And most retrenchments are due to what they call redundancies. Okay?
That position is no longer required.
No longer required. So if they're no longer required, then it's a redundancy. So on the basis of redundancy, the role is no longer there. Then you can the organization can just the retrenchment notice is basically I'll pay you a certain amount, whatever is due to you, I'll pay you. And then, we just part ways.
But isn't that amount done after a discussion between the company and the union? Isn't that where that amount comes from?
Yeah, there are guidelines as well. But once again, in Singapore, they're all guidelines. They're not regulation. You see, if from what I understand from my HR friends, if you try to dismiss someone in Korea or Japan or in Europe, good luck. The employees there are so empowered. that I was told in Korea there was this case where this employee was he refused to be retrenched. He refused to be retrenched. He just sat there and he couldn't do anything to him for about a year. And
He
they
just
finally
sat there.
Yeah, they finally decided to pay him off because that's the extreme case of pro-employee.
But maybe because he was so passionate about his job. He had been there many years, is it?
Yeah. But when he was sitting there for 1 year, he was not doing anything.
Or not doing anything.
So,
So it gets
They should have just
complicated.
made use of him, actually.
Yeah,
It's like, okay, he's
give you
there.
something
Okay,
there.
do something. I mean, if let's agree on this. I mean, we can't pay you,
was
but
tough, yeah.
but if you're here because you're so used to the routine, then
yeah.
okay. Anyway, we'll go back on air.
Kiss 92 Traffic.
A couple of situations. The first is on the SLE towards the CTE before the Mandai Avenue exit. An accident situation has been spotted, and also on the PIE towards Tuas at the AYE exit, a broken down vehicle has been spotted. If you spot anything else, it's 8855-0920.
Good morning and welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. It's Happy at Work Thursday. We're talking about something really sad just now. Can you give us that example once again about that guy who refused to be retrenched? We're talking about retrenchment today.
Yeah, so in Singapore, a lot of times the authorities are very fair to those being retrenched as well as to the employers, unless the employers step out of line. Unlike in other countries where it swings either one way or the other.
Okay.
So I was told in Korea, I know this case where this individual was being retrenched and he refused to be retrenched. And he had the power of the unions and everyone behind him. And they had to keep him in his seat for a year.
Paid.
To do nothing, paid.
Okay.
And they finally decided to pay him off whatever he wanted just to get him out of the office.
He eventually went.
Yeah, he eventually went,
Right.
but he went for 1 year there doing nothing, just turning
Wow.
up. And so it was difficult.
So
I think many people who go through retrenchments feel that way, especially those who have been, in their positions for many, many years.
Yeah.
It is a major...
It's a major
It's
blow.
heartbreaking.
It is
heartbreaking.
because Adrian mentioned this earlier. Retrenchment usually happens when that position that you're in is redundant. So when you hear that position is no longer needed, it's translated to
I'm
I am no
useless.
longer needed
Yes,
and
correct.
I'm useless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about the case of Lazada that laid off and didn't inform the unions and all that about their retrenchment exercise. I think 100 people were laid off. But they compensated with 2 weeks severance pay for every year that the employee worked for the company. So is it different severance packages for different companies, and is this negotiated during the contract signing?
It's not negotiated during the contract signing. These are guidelines that the Ministry of Manpower provides.
So every company gets this in Singapore?
No.
No,
Once
okay.
again, if a company is going bankrupt, supposing, right,
Oh.
and there's no money left in the coffers, and there's no way I can give you 2 weeks
Yeah.
for every year of service, even if you've been with us for 10 years, the government's not going to come in and dig into the owner's pocket and say, here, no. So it's,
Okay.
everything is just guidelines. So it ranges between 2 weeks for every month to maybe a month. So 2 weeks for every year or a month for every year. It just depends once again. On the
So
company's
they're
policy.
variables, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So are you saying like Lazada wasn't doing well or something?
No, Lazada.
I think they were streamlining, right?
They were
streamlining.
They were streamlining.
Yeah. So I
They
find it
still
very-
had money, but
Yeah, I mean, I find it hard to believe that they're not doing well.
but
Yeah.
With the amount of money I'm spending
Hey,
with
no,
it.
exactly.
I think
And
it
me
had
too
something
as
to do with
well.
an IPO as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
correct.
right. Okay.
I think it had something to do with an
So
IPO.
it's for various reasons, but we're seeing retrenchments happening a lot. So for our listeners, if you're being retrenched or if you are seeing an impending retrenchment exercise coming up, one of the first things you need to do is be mentally prepared for it. You need to be able to understand it. It's just part of the working life now. It's part of the process of being employed, being retrenched.
Dr. Geraldine Tan.
Apart from the company
She's
needing, apart from the company needing to inform the union, how early on do they need to inform the employees? Is that before or after the union, or does the union inform the employees, or how does that work?
It's basically you inform the unions first,
And then
you
union
inform-
will let the employees
Yeah.
know, or the company will
the,
let
the
them?
company will let them know.
Okay, all right, okay, okay.
And that's why. So a little time to prepare.
Let the
for-
unions prepare for the exit, especially if it's a large one.
Right.
It's happening to a lot of tech companies, though. I mean, Lazada,
A lot,
another
a
one.
lot.
Last year, there were so many tech companies
Yes.
like Microsoft and all that got rid
it's
of.
a lot. And more to come.
Ooh.
Okay, let's continue to talk to Adrian on The Big Show TV. It's 8:14.
Kiss 92 Time Check brought to you.
No, because you did mention early on, you need to be prepared mentally.
Mentally.
You know, so if companies, give the people that they're going to retrench
Enough notice.
at least they.
But most companies
they
don't
won't feel
give
so.
advance notice.
They don't.
On the day itself, they let you know.
Yep.
And it can come. It's quite a shock.
I've
sometimes.
had
Are
a
they
friend.
allowed to do that on the day itself?
No, you're supposed.
Yeah.
You do that as a practice on the day itself.
But why
Oh,
though? Why
right.
do they do it that way?
Why don't
Can't
they let people know?
Yeah.
So some companies, if you're in a sensitive position.
Oh, right. Okay. For confidentiality and stuff. Right.
Sometimes the company will lock out your
Computer,
emails,
your
and
emails.
computer.
Yeah. They don't want you to take stuff.
Like for instance, a trader. If he's a disgruntled trade, if he's disgruntled, he's being exited, right?
I
You give him
see.
access to his computer, he starts bye.
And not just that, like
Right.
databases also can be stolen.
yeah,
like
or
company
hack or
data-
crash.
Yeah.
So I understand where the security concerns are coming
Okay.
from.
Okay.
So there's no good retrenchment practice. I mean, there's no happy retrenchment practice. There's no bad. So you just want to make sure for employers listening, you want to make sure that it's compassionate. Okay, it's done professionally, executed. A lot of companies don't know how to do it properly because maybe it's the first time, or maybe they haven't had best practices. Yan and I actually wrote a book about this, the
Oh, wow.
compassionate retrenchment guide, handbook. So if any HR people out there they're keen on, we can give you a copy. Okay, we can give a copy free of charge. Just contact us. But it has to be properly managed. Otherwise, it's going to be messy.
Did you see the way the Succession, the way he retrenched the guys from that tech company? So he had told the boss of a tech company that they have bought that everything was going to be fine. Well, let's have a meeting. We're going to gather all the employees and we're going to tell them that we need some ideas from them to how to churn out more content, more money, this and that. So everybody went, did their content and all. Then they gathered them again and they said, "You're all done." After gathering all the ideas
Yeah.
and everything else, he said, "Y'all can leave.
Succession.
Today's your last
Who,
session."
who did that? Was it Logan or Kendall?
It was Kendall. Yeah, with that
Terrible.
Asian guy, remember?
Yeah.
Terrible people. Though. Everyone
Awful.
on Succession, they're all terrible
Awful
people.
people. Awful people. But you gotta love them though.
I think when people get retrenched, and I'm sure this happens to a lot of people, even though you get that say 4 months, 3 months, whatever, depending on how long you've been working, right? I think a lot of people panic.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
You need to stay calm. You need to recharge. You need to get out there and go again.
Easier said than done.
Because I know someone who went like that, and he went out and he panicked, and the next job he got was so much lower than what he had left because he just panicked and he felt, I'm going to take this because that's all that's out there.
How old was he?
He was like 32.
Okay.
And sometimes,
That's-
and Eddie, you're right, no? Sometimes when you do the numbers, you actually got more enough to last you 6 months or a year.
Yeah.
But just because the impression they had was, I cannot stay unemployed for too long, otherwise it looks bad on my CV.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'll take any job that comes along. And that's the wrong way of thinking. It has to be the right job at the right level. So if you have the luxury of waiting, wait till the right one comes along.
So we have a question from WhatsApp. Anonymously, someone has messaged in saying, how much time before informing staff? In the morning? Can a company retrench the staff who are still technically on maternity leave?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of answered the question just now.
Yeah,
basically.
just-
No warning.
No warning. If the staff's on maternity leave,
Yeah, how does that work?
it's very sensitive. You can notify the person as long as everything is all fair. So if the person has 3 months of maternity leave left, and if you notify the individual, you have to pay him, maternity, her, okay, you have to pay the person whatever retrenchment benefits plus that whatever
The rest
due to
of
the
their-
person.
right,
Otherwise, you're
yeah.
going to get into trouble. But we do know of clients, corporate clients of ours who spare the news until after. So you're not touched by this, or they just don't notify this person. So the person's on payroll until they come back, and then because it's quite mean. You don't know what's going to happen emotionally to the person.
Yeah, yeah.
So sometimes if individuals on in hospital, so it's very
Case by
circumstantial,
case, yeah.
That's why clients engage us to help them manage their retrenchment practices.
Yeah.
So that they know if they've got a case here. We once had a client who one of the staff about to be retrenched had depression. So
About to be retrenched?
about to be retrenched.
So
yeah,
that the
depend-
person knew? Or
So
already had
they were
depression?
gonna so they were gonna notify her,
Oh,
but
dear.
she was a known case for depression. So it had to be managed very carefully.
So they still did it?
They still did it, but with additional support. And I think it was done very compassionately. I know this very large multinational company, and Yen knows as well, so we won't mention names. They retrenched a whole bunch of people, and one of them actually committed suicide.
Oh, no.
I was about to ask you
It
that just now. Actually, I wanted to ask you that
Yeah,
question,
yeah.
but then I was like, okay, maybe it'll be a rather.
Sensitive.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't want him to say that. Yes, there have been suicides. I
Yeah,
wanted to ask
yeah.
him like, has there been any case where someone gets retrenched and then takes his or her own life?
and
So there have been
there
cases.
have been. I mean, it's sad, but it happens. That's why you don't want, as an HR practitioner or the business owner, you don't want that on your hands either. So there's a human side for companies retrenching their staff.
Because I mean, you can understand if someone is a sole breadwinner, or they have like 3 kids at home, a sick mother, a pregnant wife, and they're the only people that are being depended on for money.
Yeah.
And say they've had this job for the longest time, or they've just secured the job after a long time, and
Yeah.
finally they seem like they're okay and they have a safety net,
Yeah.
and that's pulled out from under them. It must be very difficult.
It's never nice. I mean, retrenchment is just nasty. I mean, to hit anybody. So one of the things when you do get the retrenchment letter coming in at the office, look through the details. Make sure the numbers are correct. Make sure that if they give you 2 weeks for every a year of service or 1 month, make sure that they've calculated it correctly. Make sure that all your expense claims and everything you've got it back. Okay. Make sure that the balance of leave days and everything are
Paid for.
monetized, paid for.
Yeah.
So HR will usually do all this, but you want to double check because you've seen cases where it wasn't done properly, and you just want to make sure everything's all above board.
What if you miss something and you because you're angry, because you're emotional, and you see this paper in front of you and you can't
process it,
Yeah,
right?
you can't
Yeah.
process it, and
Yeah.
then you go home and there's money missing on that sheet.
You go back again. Yeah, you go back again. It could be even
Is there a time frame?
month or 2
Right,
months.
okay.
I mean, if it's due to you, it's due to you. Otherwise, you can.
There is
bring
no
it up.
expiry date on that. Okay.
No.
We've got
hang on, traffic.
Let's do traffic first, and I'll come back and give you another message.
Kiss 92 traffic.
There are a couple of breakdowns to bring your attention to. The first is on the PIE towards Tuas at the AYE exit, and the other is on the AYE towards the MCE at the Jalan Ahmad Ibrahim entrance. Look out for those 2 situations and stay safe.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. Our guest for today is from Career Agility International, Adrian Choo. And we'd like to thank all our Kiss 92 fans for coming down for the Career Success workshop
Yep.
over the weekend
Yep.
on
Yeah.
Saturday. Thank you so very much for your support.
You guys were absolutely amazing. This morning we're talking about retrenchment, and we're getting a lot of stories. So ST has sent in a story. Worked for a German multinational. This was a few years ago, and the company was planning retrenchment. Senior management from the headquarters in Germany flew into Singapore a year ahead of the retrenchment and informed everybody that this was going to happen a year from now.
Oh.
A year?
A year from now. They were then given the packages that would be offered, told to think about it for a couple of months, then come back and negotiate the package. And the local management were told to help the staff find jobs.
So, but how does that work?
Wow.
Like you said,
Ow.
retrenchment should be immediate. They were
These
given
guys
a
are
year's
young.
a year's warning.
So once again, it all depends.
Yeah.
So some companies, they are very progressive. I know this. So Toyota in Australia, they shut down their plant, the Australian plant, many years back. They gave the guys, the CEO came down to the Australian plant and bowed his head and apologized to everyone. Said, we're going to shut down the plant in 3 years' time.
Oh, right. Okay.
And he gave everyone 3 years notice.
Because their runway was only till then.
Yeah,
right.
correct.
Ah.
And in that process, he actually gave, they provided training, career conversion training, paid for. Some became pilots, some became nurses, some became, because it was a production town. If
Right,
you rip the
okay.
whole thing out, right? Imagine,
That's it. The whole economy is gone.
yeah, and no Australian's going to buy Toyota anymore.
Yeah.
If you misbehave that way.
Yeah.
So that's why companies have a business case to do like exactly what that German company did and be very responsible. So when I said same day, that's the usual practice.
Okay.
But a lot of times, if a company is very progressive, they will be able to manage the process out. So we've seen plants shutdowns that were people were given 12 months notice and a lot of support. So those are good practices to
And
have.
because something like this, like a retrenchment exercise, is 100% known by the management way ahead of time, because they can tell what their burn rate is and how much money they'll have
Yeah.
and what the runway is,
Yeah.
right? But for someone like, say, for example, Lazada, because we were talking about them, they did it so immediately and so last minute. Wouldn't they have already known they were going to do something like this?
Well, can't say for Lazada, but as an employee, the bigger question is also, how do I know when my company is going to retrench me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you look at your company, it's not been making money in the past 3 quarters, they're losing money, and or the investments are not coming in.
It's time to look for something else.
Yeah, you know that sooner or later it's going to be there. So it's no point just sitting there and hoping for the best. So you have to make plans.
Okay.
Now, FD and Angel are bosses. You guys have employees
yeah.
under
Yeah.
you. Have you ever retrenched anyone?
No, well, fired, yes, but not retrenched, because retrenched is above 5
Yeah.
people.
No, retrench- once again, redundancy.
Oh, that retrench has to be
Redundancy or
reported if it's above 5
Yes,
people.
correct.
No, not retrenched. Fired.
FD, you've had
No.
like a event company for so long.
Never
Never
retrenched
retrenched.
anybody.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's continue to talk to Adrian on The Big Show TV. Up next, Relipso. This is Don't Hate You on Kiss 92. I wanted to know what the experience was
Yeah.
like if you
Yeah.
guys were.
But
You know,
that brought to mind
in that
something. I mean,
situation.
if we do find ourselves in that situation of a position being redundant, should we rethink it and give them something else to
Yeah,
do,
you
and
should, you see, exactly.
and re-job them or something?
So a retrenchment should be the last line of defense, not the first. But a lot
Okay.
of technology companies, they hire and fire. So it's like the moment it's, I just let someone go. So some companies do that as a practice. But what we always believe is that if you can retrain, redeploy, bring the person on board, another role.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in failing all that, then maybe then the retrenchment
Fire.
has to happen.
What's the difference between firing and retrenching?
Firing, correct me if I'm wrong, firing, I don't need to give you benefits.
No.
No.
Okay,
Hold
what's
on,
the what's the
hang on.
difference? Yeah.
You fire someone. Fire is very Donald Trump.
Fired. Yeah.
Okay. So it's termination for
Termination.
cause. Basically means that
Right.
you've done something wrong.
You have a reason to
You
get rid of
cheated
them.
or whatever.
Yeah.
I fire you on the spot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I don't have to pay you say there's a 1 month notice period.
Yeah.
I don't have to pay you.
Yeah, because you've done this.
You've done
XXX,
something wrong
yeah.
already. No, this is clearly wrong. For non-performance,
Yeah.
I cannot fire you on the spot for non-performance. I cannot say like, Angel, you've been working with me for 1 year. I think you're not good enough. I'm going to fire you on the spot, and not give you the 1 month notice period.
Okay.
Okay, because then that's contentious. So because the next thing you're going to say is, Adrian, if boss, why wasn't I given a performance improvement plan? Why wasn't I given notice that I was not doing badly? I was not doing well, you know. So if it's a performance related, end of the day you still have to pay that notice period.
Okay.
But if it's a redundancy, then you still have to pay the notice period plus that package over and above. So that's why some nasty companies, some nasty bosses
Would rather
disguise.
fire, right? They disguise the retrenchment
with a fire.
Right. Yeah, I would think, why don't people just do that? Just fire them instead of paying them the packages. You know what I mean?
You could. But then again, if you do that, then if you can, the employee can complain to MOM.
You could be flagged, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
MOM. And then once again, you get into a lot of a messy issue. And MOM people joke that MOM doesn't have teeth. But trust me, MOM has teeth. Especially if you're a multinational company.
Yeah.
They have teeth. And so you don't mess with the labor unions, you don't mess with MOM.
Okay.
Don't mess with mom.
Don't
Mom,
mess with mom.
don't mess with mom.
Never
yeah.
mess with mom.
The Ministry of Manpower.
Okay, got it.
So if any of our listeners out there, if you feel aggrieved, okay, you can always pick up the phone and call MOM. Just ask them for advice whether or not it was done fairly, or they have a very they're very attentive, and they'll be able to give you a very balanced view on what happened and what recourse you may have if it's not done correctly.
Yeah, but you've got to be very open with them. I mean, you've got to, when you call MOM, you've got to give them both sides of the story.
Yes.
You can't
For
just give them.
retrenchment?
Yeah,
You can't do it over the phone, right? I'm sure you make an appointment,
so
you go
that
down, you talk
meeting
to
or
someone,
something.
right?
So this was interesting because just yesterday I saw this video clip of this American young lady. Okay, we got some time, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This young American lady, she was let go from her job as sales from a US technology company. And she went to film herself getting notified by HR. And HR was quite heartless. HR told her, oh, you've not been performing, you know what, I'm going to let you go. And then so she defended herself. And she said, no. And she said, this is not fair. If you want to fire me, fire me for non-performance. And the HR told her that you've been here for 4 months. You've not closed a single deal. And then she started giving excuses. She said, no, over the 2 holiday seasons, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and everything. She said, this is a retrenchment, and you're not. It's you should give
You're
me a package.
disguising it, right? Yeah.
So when I watched the video, I was feeling very unfair towards this poor young lady.
Yeah.
But later on, the CEO himself came on and wrote a note and said, look, this is our policy. If you come in as a salesperson and you don't close anything in the first 4 to 5 months,
You're done.
yeah, something's
done.
wrong. It's a wrong
Yeah.
hire.
But 4 months you can still get retrenchment package. What is the minimum
she was
that
not
you?
happy being retrenched. She was not being happy being let go. So
Let
she
go.
made it seem like it was a
A
retrenchment.
retrenchment, right?
She
a
wanted
So
to be
imagine
retrenched.
if this was in Singapore, the individual would go to MOM and tell MOM the story that I was unfairly retrenched. So like what FD said, you have to be open.
Yeah.
And that's it. But it was interesting because when I saw that, I was thinking like, okay, but this is an important lesson for employers out there. Your sessions can be recorded. There's social media, and if you're doing incorrectly, boy, a lot of mess to clean
Also,
up.
be careful. Like this girl, I mean, she was there. She had one job to sell, and she didn't sell. So obviously, like you got to have your backing as well. You got to back yourself up as well.
Yeah.
Your own reasons and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
But she was quite silly also, if you ask me, because
Yeah.
now no one's going to hire her. Because,
Exactly.
Right, the next time she's going to go online.
Here's the question I have, though. So someone's not selling. So, as you said before, why wasn't I told my performance was not up to da-da?
Yes.
Clearly, she should have known.
No, not in this woman's
Yeah.
case, but in general. And if you can help us with this. In Singapore context, how many of these performance notifications do I have to give someone before I can sack them?
So you should be giving the person a PIP, a performance improvement plan. Put them through training and guidance, mentorship, coaching, and
Right.
everything. And I think that would have been a fairer way rather than letting her go on the spot, saying,
Yeah.
sorry, you're not performing, you're out. To give her some fair warning.
Give her some help as
So
well.
in Singapore, normally what HR would do, if a person's not performing, they'll put you on a PIP, 6 months.
6 months. Okay.
Performance improvement. And then you monitor you whether you're hitting the targets which the manager will set for you during the PIP. So if you're in sales, maybe the manager will say, okay, you need to meet X number of prospects, make Y number of calls, close X Z number of deals. And if you're not hitting those performance improvement targets, and in 6 months there's no sales, then you can say, oh, look, it's not working out. I think we have a mutually agreed separation, and out. And then
Yeah.
I'll pay you whatever's due to you, which is fair. And there's no retrenchment exercise. There's no retrenchment for benefit for because it's not retrenchment. The role was not redundant.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just weren't
Because when
performing.
you let the person go, you're going to hire another one to take this place. So it's not
Yeah, yeah.
redundancy.
It's not redundancy.
Okay, going on air.
Kiss 92 traffic.
On the PIE towards the airport at Tampines Street 31's exit entrance. I picked
Airport. You said airport and your eyes lit up.
Yeah. You weren't even looking at me. Yes, I'm heading to the airport, but not at this moment. But once again, accident on the PIE heading towards the airport. At Tampines Street 31's entrance, look out for an accident. Also on the AYE towards the MCE at the Jalan Ahmad Ibrahim entrance, a vehicle has broken down there. Look out for that and stay safe.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. What do you mean I'm not looking at you? I'm looking at the screen. I'm watching The Big Show TV.
Right.
When he said airport, not only did your eyes light up, everyone saw you drooled a little bit. Anyway, Adrian Choo is with us. He is from Crystal Jade.
I don't mind. I don't
Someone
mind.
hungry?
Yes, I am actually. I feel like having a dim sum at Crystal Jade actually. We've got Adrian Choo from Korea Agility International with us. Good
How are
morning,
your
Adrian.
dumplings this morning, Adrian?
It's funny.
We've got a question from Aloysius, which when I first read it, I thought, no, silly question. But maybe not. Can you get fired for insubordination?
Yeah.
Of course.
You can,
Of
right?
course.
You can get
100%.
fired for
Anything.
For anything.
Yeah.
For not washing the cups in the pantry, whatever, because ultimately the boss has a decision.
Yeah.
And for as long as, because your employment contract is a contract, and if I decide I don't need you for whatever reason, if I pay you your notice period and everything's fair, I can just let you go.
Yeah, but I think maybe what Aloysius is saying is that they don't have to pay the notice. You know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean?
think that may be what he means.
Yeah.
Being fired as
Yeah.
in, I've got cause to fire you because of insubordination.
Once again, it depends what the insubordination
case
is.
by
I mean,
case.
if the
Yeah.
boss tells you flush the loo and you don't flush it, that's insubordination. Then that's unfair practice, right?
Yeah,
If the boss tells you to do something and you don't do it, that's insubordination as well.
Technically,
over
right?
and over again.
Technically, right? So if
Yeah.
I keep telling you,
Flush the toilet.
Yeah, don't leave crumbs on your desk when you eat. Oh, sorry, that's what Yan tells me all the time.
And she
You're
hasn't fired you yet.
Doesn't fire me yet. so technically speaking, once again, if you feel aggrieved, call mom.
Call mom.
Call mom.
Yeah,
MOM.
because
Mom.
mom can solve everything.
Oh, mom. Yeah,
Mom's
no.
good.
Then the boss will say, don't tell mom. But
Just in case you're wondering, it's MOM, okay? If you're just
Yeah.
tuning in
Ministry of
now,
Manpower.
Ministry of
not my
Manpower.
mom. So
Here's another question, okay? Because now many companies have full-time employees and they have independent contractors, right?
yeah.
Which translates to full-timers and part-timers. If, let's say, there is a retrenchment or a layoff exercise and all that, are companies obligated to let the part-time people go first and,
And then the
take the
full-timers.
full-timers into consideration first and foremost, right? But just let the part-timers or the
So the lower rung go
Yeah.
But it does make sense,
it
right?
makes sense. But once again, it depends on what the company's requirements are at the time. So once again, there's no hard and fast rules. And I must say that I must take the side of management on this sometimes.
Okay.
Okay, is that the decision to retrench staff is never an easy one.
Of course.
Right? So they would have weighed and measured everything else before letting people go. Most of the time, some companies hire and fire, but by and large, I think most companies in Singapore or anyone, I mean, no one likes to break another person's rice bowl.
Yeah.
Right? So it's something that's measured. So they would have decided who to let go, who not to let go. Sometimes it's not a performance thing. It's not like you're performing poorly, so I'm letting you go, the retrenchment. Sometimes the retrenchment is just basically the whole department, I don't need this anymore. We're going to shift this function to Bangalore.
Yeah.
Or to Manila or to Kuala Lumpur.
You're trimming the fat.
But what happens if you retrench, say 10 people from a 100-man company? You say you don't need that department or you don't need those particular job roles, and then you rehire for the same positions. Because I'm sure it's happened before where maybe just a group of people, the company is disgruntled with them, they don't want to work with them anymore, and they retrench them, but then they rehire. I don't know. Does that happen?
That's happened before.
Is there any case for the previous employees to kind of like go up against them and say I was retrenched without cause or?
And that's tricky once again because
Okay.
I've seen situations where that has happened. On a case by case basis, my answer is call mom. Call MOM.
It
If the moment
depends.
you feel unhappy about anything, just call called
Okay.
MOM. So if you're being retrenched or and if you feel that there's something that's not right, just
Call mom.
Call mom.
They got enough people no, at mum.
For everyone
they
to be
You know,
calling.
I hope they don't have one of those irritating automated
100% they will.
Or
All
just-
of them do.
Or just email them your case.
Oh my God, even
They
worse.
they're quite good actually. I
Really?
must say.
With
They're very
emails?
good. Yeah, I mean they're very responsive. So
They're quite fast.
I think
Yeah.
going there is always best,
yeah, you can.
like in my thoughts.
Yeah, because sometimes you call through many of these places, everything is automated
Yeah.
already. You know, you don't have
gonna-
that human touch
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, so the people at mom are gonna scold me now and say, "You're making so much work for me.
Exactly.
You're able to call us." but you do that because they're there for you.
Okay.
Okay, let's continue to talk to Adrian on the Big Show TV. Up next, Justin Timberlake. This is Can't Stop the Feeling on Kiss 92. Questions. I'm sure there are
Facebook
questions
or
coming in.
comments, yeah.
One of the toughest things about being retrenched is breaking the news to your family.
Oh.
So
Yeah, family is a big
it's tough,
issue.
especially if it's a guy, and we guys have our egos, and sometimes it's just tough.
So we've got something on our WhatsApp that came through from Stevie. Not sure if I can chip in some thoughts of redundancy here. I've worked in a number of foreign MNCs. There are good and bad. They are good and bad about announcing planned redundancy in advance. Oh, okay, there are good and bad points about forewarning people. My UK ex-employer was discussing restructuring in their UK plant for a while. The staff got wind of the plan and eventually it demoralized the workforce. And the good ones left. And they still needed a leaner workforce in the restructured business, and only the unmotivated who couldn't find jobs were left in the company. I experienced the other extreme where the restructuring was already planned in months in the US HQ, but it was quick retrenched employees that got a fair package, cold but efficient. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, so it's all a balance once again, and that's why the management, our corporate clients, engage us 3 to 6 months even before the exercise to work with them on how to manage the exit process.
Oh,
Because
okay.
there are repercussions to your business line. I mean, you think you're going to save money by letting people go, but if in the process you mess it up and then
Somebody's
those,
unhappy.
those who are staying behind are unhappy, they're going to piss off your clients. They're going to be manufacturing products that are shoddy.
Wow.
And then your
okay.
clients, it's going to your reputation, your quality is going to take a hit.
So
And then
it affects the people that stay behind as well.
in fact, a lot of times retrenchments affect people who are staying behind more than those who are leaving. Because those who are leaving, sometimes they get a package, sometimes they're happy.
Yeah.
They say, "Okay, I got a package," and
Yeah.
like what Stevie said, if they're good, they may have gotten another job already outside. So they got a bonus, they got a package, and then they got a job next month.
So when it comes to being retrenched from a company, there is no cooling off period for when you can get another job. Like, what is that called? That contract thing that you
the
can't-
non-compete.
The non-compete. Does that
Non-compete
come
clause.
in to play?
Non-competes are contentious to begin with. So
Okay.
whether it can be enforced is another whole episode altogether.
Okay. Okay.
But what happens is that, like what you were saying, it affects the people who are staying behind more because sometimes they get survival guilt. It's like, why am I staying behind? Why is everyone else? And a lot of times, because of the uncertainty, am I going to be next? They leave the company anyway. So if a company doesn't manage the process properly, they end up shooting themselves in the foot in the worst ways possible. So that's why it has to be managed very carefully. But I've seen companies that have provided coaching services, like they engage us to provide support for those who are staying behind. So we provide retrenchment support for those who are leaving, to provide them with job search training and everything, and they engage us to provide coaching and recovery for those who are staying behind on next steps, next moves, so that things can be smoother and the customers won't be impacted.
What is the compulsory age for retirement here in Singapore now? Because I know over the years it's gone up.
gone up.
Is it now?
60,
Now you can work for as
67.
long. Oh, there is.
Officially, so there's 62 and there's 67. There's a re-employment age and there's a retirement age. So
That means FD has to retire. Huh? He's 68 this year. But it's not compulsory, right? It's not compulsory, right?
It's not
Yeah,
compulsory.
lah, that's why.
It's left up to the companies.
So you're saying the rehiring? What's the rehiring age? And what do you mean by
I
that?
think you're supposed to retire at 62, but you can be rehired up to. Well, recommended age is 67, but
Yeah.
if the person is still productive, then you just keep going.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not a hard and fast.
It's not
rule.
a hard and fast rule. This is the other thing that's come up. These not hard and fast rules. We've talked, and it's always been guidelines. There doesn't seem to be anything that is
solid,
written in stone.
Yeah.
So Stefan comes across and goes, if that's the case and we have all these unions, how powerful are these unions really when everything is just guidelines?
That's true.
Do we
Can the unions do anything?
Can the unions actually do anything?
They can. They have brought companies to bear before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and typically the unions in Singapore are typically seen to be mild and cooperative, but you don't mess with the unions.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean this is not like the Teamsters in the US where they have picket lines and
Right.
stuff like that. But they do have bite. When they have to bite, they have teeth.
Okay, Paul has come on our WhatsApp and he says, what are thoughts on companies retrenching, which is what I brought up earlier, but then enforcing non-compete clauses to prevent them from joining competitors, as reported in the news for Lazada?
Okay, how much time do we have on that?
How much time do we have? 3 minutes. Okay.
Okay, Ken. I've been advised not to talk about this.
Okay.
By Yen, but
You're going to do it
Because
anyway.
you're on the Big Show TV.
Yeah.
but I'm a naughty boy, so
Okay. She's watching.
sorry, Yen. Just to get this off my chest as well. Okay.
Okay.
So what I heard, okay, is that what we've read. I don't actually
Hearsay?
Hearsay.
Okay.
Is that Lazada put a clause that you if you work. Basically, there's some restricted stock units which are vested in 1 year's time.
Oh.
You know, employees get stock
Yeah,
options, right?
yeah.
So so they say that if you join a competitor,
This is ESOP, right? You're talking about, yeah.
if you join a competitor, we're not going to give you the stock options in 1 year's time.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute.
So my first knee-jerk reaction is, hey, non-compete clauses are unfair.
Yeah.
But this isn't a non-compete clause. It never said that you cannot join a competitor. It says you can join, but
You're not
I'm not
going
going to
to
give
be
you
able-
that reward at the end of the year. So, in fact, a lot of clients, they don't. A lot of companies, if you leave my company, I'm not going to give you the vested. It's gone. Because you're out of it already. Because the vested shares kicks in a year, 2 years, 3 years in advance.
While you are working.
Yeah, it's a retention. It's a retention mechanism.
Yeah.
So in this case for Lazada, it seems, as I say, I don't have the all full facts. It seems that it's not a non-compete clause because you can compete. They never said you cannot join a competitor. Period. So you can join. Just that I'm not. If you're going to join a competitor, why should I be giving you money to join a competitor? So So whether it's non-compete, it's not a non-compete clause.
But then you said as soon as the employee leaves, that ESOP cannot play out anymore, right?
Yeah, but Lazada is saying, look, we're going to give you anyway.
Oh, right. They're the ones that said we'll give
we're
it
going
to
to
you,
give you
right?
anyway. But if you join a competitor, we're not going to give you. That's my understanding. I don't have
Then
full
what
facts.
if
But that's fair, right?
It
But
sounds
what,
fair, right?
what if a
Sounds
year
fair to me.
lapses and they don't join a competitor, and then at the end of the year, I'm just saying, for example, I'm just like playing devil's advocate. Lazada says, "Oh, you know what? You haven't been with us for a year. That's not gonna.
I
We're
don't
not
know.
gonna
That's
get
why I
any
always
money."
say get everything down in writing.
Yeah.
Get everything in writing. There was a case many years ago. There was a local brewery. They retrenched 3 of these guys.
Not
3 of
many
the guys.
breweries here, but okay.
Okay. And this was like 20 years ago.
Okay.
Old case. And these 3 individuals left. They were retrenched. Okay, unceremoniously let go. They started their own company in the same business.
Okay.
Okay, and that old company came back and sued them for non-compete.
Did they win?
No,
Of course. Okay.
because in general, restraint of trade clauses.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It won't be
Yeah.
recognized. It won't be recognized. How can you going to break someone's?
That's why you say the
right?
non-compete
Yeah.
clause is quite a weak one, isn't it?
There are ways to
go around.
to ironclad it if you're the company. If you're the company putting a non-compete.
But you can't stop somebody from working if that's the only trade that they know,
correct,
right?
Correct. So in general, it's deemed as against public policy. Once again, I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah.
But I've gone through one of those. Okay, so I'm quite familiar with it. It can be enforced under certain circumstances, but most of the time it's difficult to enforce because you're right. You can't break someone's rice bowl.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got another one from Alexander. Let's go on on air and do
Yes.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
The National Stadium is all set up and ready for Coldplay.
Just a few more days left,
Yeah.
right? They will be here. Okay, so we're talking about retrenchment this morning with Adrian Choo of Career Agility. Alexander has chimed in on our WhatsApp number. Let me clear my throat.
What's wrong with your throat
I
the
have
past
no
few
idea.
days?
I don't know. I need a holiday. Thank goodness I'm going on one. Okay, so Alexander has messaged in, and he's basically talking about emotional support. He says, great topic to touch on. I appreciate Adrian for highlighting how tough it is to bring up being retrenched to the family. As the breadwinner for my family, I was retrenched during COVID. I remember getting the call from my boss, who was based in Texas, during an evening just before I was about to have dinner with my family. It was tough to hear about it back then, but I really appreciate my wife for lending her listening ear and constant reassurance that all will be fine and that we'll figure something out. I think spouses and families play a really huge part as a support pillar. Thankfully, I managed to secure a job with my previous company during a tough job market situation when plenty of companies froze hiring.
Yeah, I think you're very blessed to have
Very
a
blessed.
wonderful
Very
wife
blessed.
like
Yes,
that.
Alex.
Because not all
Absolutely.
wives are like that.
No.
I'm sure. I mean, there were other guys who were fired, who then were under fire by their wives.
Yeah,
as
for
well.
sure.
Yeah,
All
you know what I
partners,
mean?
yeah.
So one thing I always say is this, stuff happens, bad things happen, right?
Yeah.
I always want to be transparent with the kids, especially if you're young kids, because it's a learning opportunity for them to show to see a live demonstration of resilience from their dad or their mom. If you're open, if your kids say, look, dad has been retrenched. We won't be having a job for a while. It'll be a short while. It'll be tough, but we'll get through this. Your kids are observing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you adopt a positive attitude, and you look at it like, okay, I'm going to have some time off now to spend time with the
more
kids.
time with them, yeah.
Yeah, and when you do land a job, your kids are going to say that, oh, adversity happens. This is how dad or mom handles it. Yeah, I think next time I encounter adversity, I'll be a bit more resilient.
And that life is not a bed of roses all the time, right?
Yeah.
Rather than trying to mollycoddle and protect them from all the negativity.
That everything is fine. Don't worry, you can have every toy that you ask for and
so
suffer.
I think it's always a good learning lesson because I've always engaged my kids when they were young on the good things and the bad things that happened to me in my career, and I think it's toughened them and it's provided good learning lessons.
Yeah, I think modern parents are wonderful these days.
Yeah.
It's true.
yeah, because back in the day,
Back in the day,
they would have
oh my
protected
goodness.
you, or
The degree of
My
sharing,
household was messed up. But
the degree of sharing is so much better.
Better
everything
now,
was
yeah.
money. All the arguments, all the quarrels were about money.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Too true.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, Adrian, for joining us today. Any last words? I wish we could have flashed,
More
more
pictures,
pictures, but both FD and Angel were talking, so we couldn't flash the
We
photos.
can always
So
post
maybe
it
next
on
week.
the Facebook page.
I
guess,
think that's
right?
a better idea. Yeah.
For our listeners out there, if you've been retrenched, the market will have a spot for you. Okay, just need to persevere. Treat it as a time for reflection, for recharging and re-strategizing. And if you need help, you can once again reach out to either the WSG. They have good programs for you, or you just drop us an email. We're happy to just give advice when you need it.
Info at
careeragility.org.
There
So
you go.
just drop us a note.
So long you can't remember.
no,
still.
I'm letting him complete it.
Yeah.
Glenn,
Just joking.
Stop it.
Oh, I just received a little note from Cheyenne and Shalini. Oh, it's okay. The photos and all that one. FD was actually in charge of it.
Thank
And-
you.
But he
Okay.
completely forgot.
And
Right.
who's been talking the
But
whole
then-
morning?
Why are you pointing to me? Don't point at me. My goodness.
I'm the one been
But
very
it's okay.
quiet today.
It's okay. I completely understand. You are
Uh-oh.
68. Your memory is going.
So mean.
I'm going to leave. I won't come back. Then.
Thank you very much, Adrian, for joining us.
Pleasure always. Have a good one.